Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode, the Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Welcome, everybody. I am your Please Eat Me offering. No, not like that. Moxie the Yeen here with my King of All Beasts, Isekai Sensei-Sama Brad. Brad, how you doing?
I'll decide if I'm going to eat you later. Not like that. You just said it.
I regret everything. And we are continuing the Beast arc with this Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, which I think we just found by Googling manga with Beast in the title. I don't think either of us were familiar with this, right?
So, I think we explained this a little bit. The premise of this arc,
the Beast arc,
is it has to have Beast in the title.
That's literally all it is.
What we accidentally did was created the furry romance arc.
Yes, because what, Beastars was supposed to be on Romance Arc, but then Chapter 1 didn't have it, but it's in there.
Yeah.
This is definitely that.
Yeah.
And the other two that will come out after this are also different shades of... I'm not against... I feel equipped.
Yeah.
Because we had romance. I love having romance, like, that's what I kind of love doing, Romance Arc and Sports Arc. It's like, I am now double equipped to talk about these genres. I will remember the technical start of this arc for Beast Children. When David was getting down, it's like they don't play rugby for a while, and I'm like, we read 5 of the top sports things, and they don't actually play the game for ages, and I felt very, like, empowered in that moment. I'm like, I know what I'm talking about for once. And it was great. Speaking of knowing what I'm talking about, Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts was written by Yu Tomifuji from November 2015 to October 2020 for 15 volumes, though it appears there are also follow-up series and spin-offs. There's also an anime from 2023. I was going to say last year, but not. It's now 2 years ago. In the year of 2025. And with that, it's time for Moxie's Mach Speed Manga Summary. Submarine. I'm never going to get tired of that. Once upon a time, there was a country mostly cloaked in poison where monsters ruled and humans were not allowed. There lived a fierce king. In a throne room, a large shadowy figure sits overlooking an Anubis and a small girl. The Anubis offers the girl as the 99th sacrifice, but she's thin and not much to eat, so they'll probably still have to find another. The girl crudely speaks up that that's rude to say, flustering the Anubis. You can't just say whatever you want in front of the king. His Majesty beckons Anubis to leave the room, and when that doesn't work, asks more forcefully with a mighty roar, which gets him to leave. See, that would you leave in. That was a small one. The girl comments on his temper. He'll be all alone if he acts like that. The girl's chains come alive as small monsters, telling the girl to apologize. The king tells the girl to stop talking. She's the only sacrifice that didn't cry and scream at their situation. We finally see the king of monsters as he rises in all his scary might. Prostrate yourself before me, he commands. But the girl doesn't. She comments how squishy his paws are. The girl says even if she ran away, there's no one and nowhere to go to. If you eat me here, it's fine by me. The king asks her name. It's Salfi? Like, this isn't even Japanese. You got to help me a little bit.
Selfie. Yeah.
Salfi. Weird.
It's like selfie, but
it's like Ralphie.
with an A.
Salfi. She asks his. He has no name. His royal blood proves who he is. The ritual of eating the sacrifice is soon, when the miasma clears from the air. Divine revelation, they call it, for some reason, even though there's never mention of information being passed on. She can live by his side until then. She roams the castle, still chained, much to the frustration of the king's staff. We're told in the past there was a war between monsters and humans. An armistice was reached. The translation wasn't great here, and I was confused the particulars as rebels are talked about, but it's not clear who or what they are. But that's what the sacrifice happens to show the pecking order. Did you understand it? Are there rebel monsters that are just killing humans because they can? And then that's why they take a sacrifice?
No, there's still humans who are against living in quote-unquote harmony with the monsters.
But why would taking sacrifices not make them more... Whatever, let me finish this, then we can talk about things. The king now appears, upset that the girl left her room again, and takes her back. She was bored as there's nothing to do. The king says he needs no distractions. Also, except on Divine Revelation night, the kingdom is covered in that miasma, so flowers can't grow and you can't leave. Also, don't leave because they'll kill you, human. The girl says back, "Oh, you like me," which elicits a tense show of power from the king, pinning her down and saying how easily he could kill her. It's also vaguely sexual. None of this frightens the girl. Her parents were worse. She was the second kid, just born to be sacrificed so their first child could live. Her parents' eyes frightened her, but the king's eyes don't. It seems like he's forcing himself to be angry and mean. The girl is out again in this fortress city, the closest one to the human country and where a lot of battle happened during the war. The king returns here often. He returns here a lot as the rebels grow here far out of reach from the capital and skirmishes with the humans still occur. He wants to stop this careless spilling of blood by fear. The girl finds flowers, the only spot they can bloom in monster territory with the low miasma here. "But maybe you brought me here, king, to see the flowers. That's so nice of you." "No, Babaka, that's not why at all. I just need to keep a constant eye on you." She makes him a flower crown, which pisses him off. "A storm is coming. That means the miasma is going to clear for the Divine Revelation." Lightning scares the girls. It reminds her of the night her parents offered her up, and she chills out in the king's fluffy tail because it helps muffle the sound and flash, and also it's a cute little moment. A quiet, pleasant moment is shared between the two on his bed. Then it is time. The Divine Revelation. The girl is dressed in a bride-style dress and chains to be prepped to be sacrificed. A human and the king monster would never be married. She is led away into the darkness of the dungeon. No one else is allowed to be present. In the darkness, she sees eyes, but they aren't the king's. A monster rebel is here, knowing the king is at his weakest tonight, away from his servants, and is ready to kill him because he likes humans. "I'm turning into my half-life, full-life consequences voice." She stands up to the killer, saying he is a great king and is prepared to be stabbed, and then the king steps in, except he's a handsome man. He's a half-blood. When the moon shines, he transforms into a man. Also a big emo. Gosh, crawling in my skin much. He doesn't eat the people and stabs himself to make the blood that shows he ate somebody, but I don't think they ever make it clear what happens to the people, at least in this first chapter. The girl talks about how she wants to become a meal for the king, be his energy because he is so kind. Cut to the final panel, and the king takes her as a consort, much to the chagrin of his court. The girl gives him a name, Lionheart, meaning heroic heart. Brad, I don't like this. This is your jurisdiction bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because it's furries and there's vor involved, and I didn't like either of that. Why does he have to be a handsome man? I get it's like he's half blood. Like it's all these things where it's like I get it how we get here. I could understand why this was popular, but gosh,
it's a play on Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
it's Beauty and the Beast, but in a fantasy world where there is actual monsters.
Gaston is a beast and not a human,
right?
But also the townsfolk are also beasts. We haven't really met another human yet, have we?
We saw a couple, but not. We didn't like.
We haven't talked to any. There's been no character who was a human besides our selfie.
I feel like her sister is probably going to be important later in the story.
Oh yeah, I guess her parents are still alive.
Yeah, her parents are definitely like antagonist in this.
Yeah,
but her sister seemed to care about her at least to a certain extent.
Yeah, I guess we know about them, but we didn't like meet them. They kind of only exist in like trauma flashback pictures. It just, I mean, my commentary spilled out during that of like it's got big like mid to late 2000s emo vibe, goth vibe of like, gah. And then he's a very basic handsome man, which as anybody who has ever seen Beauty and the Beast, when the Prince, whatever his name is, turns back into a man, it's like, what a letdown. I wanted the Beast.
Well, he's not a human most of the time.
And there's a context here of like, oh, on the full moon, he's a man because he's a half-blood. How he became king of the beasts?
Because he's got royal blood. He's from that lineage.
Do you think his dad was the king and his mom was just a human girl that he took, whether for love or otherwise?
Probably the same thing happened. Is that his dad fell in love
and
with...
kept it secret.
Yeah.
Which they're somehow able to do despite constant having a court around them at all times.
Right.
I don't know. Like, what did you feel about this? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I liked it because this is the romance fantasy stuff that I'm into.
Yeah.
It's dramatic. It's soap opera-y. There's magical elements to it. Like, yeah, this is the genre that I'm into.
This I don't know if it if it truly should have an episode, but this does belong in heroin addiction, which I think this is this like the first thing that truly was like, this is a heroin addiction series that we've ever read on Shonen Jumping the Gun?
It might be the first thing that we're specifically calling out in that way, but it's probably not the first thing that should. I'd have to go back and look through stuff.
It's the closest, because like some of your 9s maybe got close. I don't think there was anything that I would have chosen. And nothing in Jump's going to go there.
Magical Revolutionary.
That was my
Princess
thought, and that's not there enough. It's like that's the closest we've gotten, but this one feels like we have a romance, but also there is. I mean, there's no Isekai portion to it. Nobody's being reborn, but it does.
But that's
feel
not
like
required.
That. No, it's not. But it feels very. Of what I know of those from listening to you guys talk about it, it feels like it'd be at home in there. Whether it's worth your while to keep reading, I don't know.
I am probably gonna read this at some point. I put it on my list.
I'd be curious to know.
I did want to get to this because there's one thing about this that I do have an issue with story-wise.
Okay.
But I can't really go like, oh, this is gross and weird that they're doing this because like lots of other series do it. Like it's a trope of the genre. But the way that like she's, horribly abused and has given up on life, and then like the romance stems from that. Like,
yeah, I thought you were going to say that he seems like an adult man and she is a child and or like a young teen.
There's that.
But that's the basic we can. I'm not that we want to,
it's
but
a conversation we've had a lot.
Yeah, we can bop that out a lot easier by virtue of just we've had that conversation a million times because you have to when you do this stuff. But yeah, like it's not a romance where it's like, girl, like you haven't experienced anything. Like this is the first human to show you kindness that you've latched on. Like that's not healthy.
Yeah. And it's sort of like I can't really call it out as like, oh, this is a modern problematic thing.
It's not necessarily like problematic because like you said, it's a trope that's been around forever.
It's a Cinderella thing. It's like, oh, you've been abused for so long, and then the first handsome man that comes along you fall in love with. It's like, I get why we're attracted to that because it's like light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing, but also it's sort of a gross situation.
I wish it was more like Beauty and the Beast where she slowly came around to him, but it is like instant, like, goo. Yeah. Don't you like me? I know you like, and I hate that archetype. In fiction and in life, I hate that archetype a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't hate it, but I do think there are problematic aspects to it.
Yeah, but I don't think any of them are big enough that you couldn't. Not even just you, the royal you could not float over them. Right, but it's like it's born of an infinite number of other stories that are similar that do this trope. So it's not like this one was particularly problematic outside any of those. It was just sort of like.
I will say though, there is a question of how old she actually is. It's unclear.
It's too unclear. She's drawn too small. It's too unclear.
I assume it's the normal Japanese thing of she's at least 16.
Old enough to, yeah, sure. Whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night, bud. Where do you think it's going? Because obviously we've set up political intrigue with like the kingdom, and there are rebels, and there's human stuff. There's this poison which we haven't explained yet, but I'm sure that's something from the war, I would guess. And then we have the small level intrigue of here's this relationship. Yeah. She's been taken as a consort. So she gets to be kind of we're really following him more than we follow her. Yeah. No, actually the other way around, actually. No, we kind of follow her more. She's like our eyes to him. Right. To an extent.
No. So I think you're right in the extent that we're going to see what he's doing.
We're going to follow him by virtue of following her.
Right. Now. She's
our camera. He's the real deal.
I would sort of say like, oh, I have no idea where this is going to go because... What?
You you have an inkling.
Well,
You've
to an extent.
This is your territory.
The main thing with this is that we've sort of got a revelation in chapter 1.
Oh, do you think would other series sit on the fact that he's not?
There'll be a back and forth for a while before it's like, okay, I'll take you as my consort.
Oh, that. I thought you meant that he's a half-blood.
Maybe that as well. Yeah.
Who knew the king was a mudblood?
So from that extent, like, yeah, I'm not sure what the greater story is here. However, there is one particular plot line that I imagine happening, which is the humans know that the sacrifices come back. Like the kingdom.
Oh.
Not every human, but like there are people in the upper echelons of the government.
Okay, because I was going to say, if they knew, then it wouldn't be doing anything unless it's literally just a lie to keep the beasts in check, and that also seems kind of fucked up in its own way of like as being a ruler of a nation.
Well, but that's the thing is the sacrifice thing is to keep the humans in check, right? So I imagine that But
that's what I'm saying. If the humans knew that they were getting their people back, but the families are still getting people removed from them. They're ostensibly dead. It's just instead of being actually dead, they're in witness protection.
Right.
Elsewhere.
So I think what's going on here is that the kingdom knows that he's releasing them because they would have to because they run away.
So yeah, where else would they go?
They go home, right? So the kingdom would know. The kingdom probably has either a single person or a group of people that intercepts them on the way back and like, yeah, witness protection kind of thing. Or it could be, oh, the kingdom gets to stay in power because of these beast people, and so they intercept them and then they kill them. Could be something there. Okay. But I imagine what will happen is a human will sneak into the palace and be like, hey, come on, let's go. You got to.
And she's like, I live here. Like, right. I'm fucking consorted to the king.
Right. And so there's a whole little, 2 or 3 chapters where it's like, what the heck is this? This is so unprecedented and weird. And
Yep. I mean, they're already, all the beast people that work there are already like, this is weird. I didn't get to put it in the summary because there wasn't a spot for it, but when I said the chains come to life, I liked that they are 2 one-eyed orbs named Sai and Klops.
Oh, yeah, and I wanted to point out there, because you said the chains, but it's the balls.
Yeah.
Because I think, are their tails the chains? Or
it wasn't
at
clear
some
to
point
me.
I was like, wait, where's the chain part? Because they're just walking with her then.
Yeah.
So I think they might like attach the chains, or it might be their tails or something.
Might be just some weird magic-y whatever.
But yeah, they were cute.
I'm more... I don't think I will keep reading this, but I would be intrigued to know where it goes. Its flavor is not for me, but there is like... I have to give it props for what it is. That it's like, there is intrigue here. There is big hook and little hook, and none of it's my flavor, but it's like, I see it, I get it, like everything's... I mean, let's... do we have anything else, or do you want to get into our feelings?
As far as like who's rebelling and stuff. So, from the way I understood it, there are humans that outside the jurisdiction of the kingdom want to fight back against the monsters, and those are the rebel forces.
So the beasts are taking sacrifice from them to keep them in line, even though like I feel like that would just... I guess it's just to keep them low, but I feel like that would just piss people off more.
Yeah. But then on the flip side...
The other way around doesn't make sense either.
There's also...
But I guess it would more, because it would be like, you don't need to kill them. We're already stronger, and look, beasts, rebels, we are already taking from them. You don't need to do it with this willy-nilly bloodshed.
Well, but that's the thing, is I think there's also some form of rebellion within the monsters, which we did see.
We already saw that. The weird, the reptile man in the dark who's like, I'm going to kill the king.
And
he's too nice, and he's alone.
I think the rebellion there is, we want to completely take over the humans.
Yeah.
We don't like this, like, peace that we have with them.
Yeah. Full of human racism.
Right. And so they want to get rid of the king so that they can have a warmonger king.
Yeah.
And go to war.
Kill
again.
all the humies.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's intrigue. Like that's like they like this first chapter, like I didn't like it, but talking through it. And sometimes it's like you have to convince me, but it's like genuinely just like saying it out loud. It's like there is a lot of different levels of intrigue here that were all planted in why can't some of Shonen Jump's chapter be like this? Because I don't think this was that much longer than a Shonen Jump one. Like,
No.
how much character was set up, how many plot points happened. Big hooks and little hooks abound, and it was generally put together well in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the keys. I'm so happy we have subjective, objective feeling charts for this, because this is like the ultimate. Not the ultimate, but this is like another like perfect way spot for it, because it's like,
This first chapter actually felt to me like if there were no other chapters, this could be a one-shot in and of itself.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to see things slightly differently if that was the case, because the conclusion of, hey, we're married now, not quite wrapped up enough.
No.
But like,
you'd also have more time because you could sand down other hooks that you planted for intrigue that isn't needed then. But like, I don't know.
But there is like a whole story within this one chapter.
I'm talking myself into reading this, and I don't want.
I will read it.
You know what, Brad? If it's on one of the systems we have, maybe we watch an episode of it and see how we feel.
Oh, that's true.
Then neither of us has to read it.
It's probably shovelware.
It could be shovelware. We'll see. Let's see. We watched a lot of Paladin. You never know. I'd be curious. We'll watch an episode. Let's watch an episode at some point.
We watched Paladin because the manga is so good, and then it was very disappointing.
Correct.
Shout out to Shonen Flop Discord. We were talking today about a bunch of the new anime that came out this season, and apparently it's like 10 of them are isekai.
Yeah.
And I went down through the list and found that at least half of them I'd never heard of.
Wow! You're slipping.
Well, no, I think it's
it's that deep into the barrel.
They're that bad, yeah.
Oof. Dang.
And half of the ones that I did know are going to be shovelware.
Yeah,
so I think there's only 2 this season that have the potential to be any good. One of them I do want to watch. We have to figure out where it is, because I hesitate to say this, but I think you'd like it.
Don't. No more. No words.
We're at least going to watch one episode.
We're going to watch one episode. I'm not against that. You know how I work. What are your subjective and objective? What are your sobs and obs thoughts?
My thinky thinks and my feely feels.
Yeah. What are your thinky thinks on this?
My thinky thinks, I think that this is, I'm going to say, wait, is there something between good and amazing?
You can make that distinction. The chart
this is between
yours.
Good and amazing.
Oh, great.
Great. Yeah.
Great and amazing. Yeah. Okay.
So as far as execution, as far as story, I think this is great.
Yep.
Like, it does all the things it needs to do correctly.
Brad, I wasn't like this when we started recording. Agreed. I think Thinky thinks this is great.
Yeah. My feely feels, it's slightly lower. I'm going to go between good and great. I'm leaning towards great because this is my lane.
Yes.
But as much as
I'm moisturizing and staying in it.
As much as I enjoyed the first chapter, I definitely need more in order to be like, oh, okay, this is definitely great. It just wasn't quite enough. I think it's there. I'm going to find out if it's there.
I think we're going to find out that first episode if it's more than just the first chapter, which it could be because first chapters are long. So, my feely feels are fine. Parentheses, not for me. I think just the romance is very off-putting. The beast designs are not my beast designs. Beast arc, I'm like 50-50 on beast designs being either in my ballpark, put into my veins, and no, not that. Though none of them are coward furries.
The beast designs in Beast Children were terrible.
He was a little gremlin. I guess, Beast Tamer didn't have beast, like they were just beasts. They weren't beast people. They were not furries.
Yeah. I think, is there demi-humans in that one?
There might be. We only read the first chapter.
I don't remember.
That's what I thought when you made the joke.
No, actually, I don't think
I
there
listened to the
is.
episode recently because it just came out, and you making the joke of the harem and me going like, does she just have a harem of beast men with her? And I'm like, you know what? Good for her. Good for her. Fluffing can take many forms.
Yeah, and I guess Beastars is the next one. And
we didn't do.
It didn't come out yet.
Yeah, but it will. By the time you hear this, it'll have been out.
Yeah. And
I don't think. And other things,
are not coward
other things that
furries.
you haven't heard yet when you're listening to this that we will be recording shortly.
Have we properly discussed levels of furries yet?
That might be a conversation for the future. But it's mostly just that meme image of just like anime has a lot of coward furries, which is we just put ears and a tail on somebody. The most recent example I can think of is in Isekai Shikaku, the monk cat is like that's cat girl derogatory, where it's like she just has the ears and a tail.
So,
and there's like there is the image online that is like the steps of that.
Right. So you go from human to completely regular animal.
Yeah.
And there are steps in between.
Of anthropomorphized, but yeah, most of Japan anime is coward furries, which is just, especially they do it mostly to girls. I will always remember Killing Bites. Yes, Killing Bites does it. I love Killing Bites, but Killing Bites does have coward furries with the girls, where the girls just get, here is ears, tail, and maybe one other defining feature, and the men just turn into the animal and are just horrible beasts.
Yeah, that's weird.
And that happens a lot. And I think Monster...
That's the most cowardly
Monster
thing.
Girl has that too, where it's just like, that was the thing that was going around for a while. It's like, don't make the men big beasts and the girls just coward furries. Like,
they do that
both.
in...
Everybody wants both.
Yeah, they do that in Satan Academy. You were very upset about that.
Yes, I was very upset about that. Full of coward furries.
Because all of the girl animals are cat girl level.
Yeah.
And then all of the boy animals are just the full animal.
Yep.
And it's just like, what are you doing? Anyway, I just wanted to state for
French graphic novel Black Sad also suffers from this, but slightly differently. Even French comics can have coward furries in a furry novel.
I wanted to get it on record.
Okay.
As far as our feelings on the levels.
There are no coward furries in Beast Arc.
So as far as you're concerned, anything less than anthropomorphized is just like, what's the point?
No. It's just knowing that so much comes up. It's like, oh, they're animal people. And then it's just, oh, they're coward furries. And I'm like, that's not what I like. That's not what I want. So
for me...
Beastars is like, mwah.
I have a dichotomy with this. Because on the one hand, I'm super into anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing I enjoy. At the same time, I do enjoy cat girls. And I think the difference is with like the cat girl level, that is something that I could experience in real life,
Yeah.
with just a costume.
Yeah.
As opposed to, anthropomorphized, like full fursuit kind of stuff. They're always still fake.
Your I need to name your stand that is that thing that you have where it's just like there's a certain level of reality that your ability to suspend your disbelief just instantly kicks in as hard as it can.
And
we were making a reference to the song earlier. I think that stand is called "Blinded by the Light."
I have. I don't know if respect is what I would say, but I'm more power to them.
You do your thing, bud.
Fursuits and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not attracted to it.
That's fine. That's acceptable. Would you buy the first volume of this?
That's a tough one. Probably not. I don't think this quite reaches there.
Yep. My answer is the same. I think from that, though, I think us watching the anime that's fairly recent, unless it's the shoveliest shovel that has ever shoveled. I think even we're still going to watch. I mean, regardless of that, we're watching the first episode and we're going from there. But like, I feel like that says something that it's like, I wouldn't read more. But like, if it wasn't that, it would be you're going to read it and you're going to tell me what happens. Because I'm intrigued, but I do not want to emotionally spend my time on this journey. But I'm intrigued enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not in it. We do not need High Noon. I
don't think we're going to get High Noon on any of these.
No, that's exciting to know. So yeah, everybody, that's the episode. This was The Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Brad, hit me with those plugs.
Well, as always, we want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch, and they got a lot of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. our listeners can use code APR15 at checkout or the link in the description to get 15% off their first order. We want to hear from you, so hit us up on social media, which you can find links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. Make sure you check out our Discord, where we've got lots of fun conversations. And also don't forget to check out our Patreon. Our supporters get perks like getting to vote on what we cover on heroin addiction, bonus episodes, one of which we recorded for our Noble and Royal tier just recently. And of course, we got to shout out our patrons. So first and foremost, at our Noble tier, we've got our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf. At our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last but not least, at our Commoner tier, we've got Rena and Kill Hour. So thank you so much to all our patrons.
Thank you, Brad, for that. Thank you, everybody, again, for listening. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our feed. And, Brad, we need to go intimidate that other kingdom of weebs across the train tracks, but we're not allowed to eat people, so I'm just going to try to eat an entire pizza in front of them to intimidate them. Let's go.
I've pressed the button.
I see the light.
Are you blinded by it?
Blinded by the... My mom hates that song, but never can express why. She just hates it. But I like it. I have no idea what it's about.
That was the one that was stuck in my head.
It's good. I apologize for yelling at you, but it's just like, please, it's 7 p.m. and we have 3 episodes to get through. And we'll get distracted more, I'm sure.
I think only one of these we're going to talk way too long about.
You're right. You're correct.
Which one are we doing first?
Are we
doing them in order?
Yes, we're doing the Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Oh, am I regretting this joke that I've written? Fuck it. Tonight's horny. I don't give a shit. And with that, we are at, unless you have any other words. Thanks. You're the best. Also, I'm just going to say it now on mic, and hopefully you'll edit this out because it's about editing things out. When I do the summary read and I fudge up a line and go, let me go another run at that, could you edit out the first time when I fudge it up and not leave it in?
I generally do.
You didn't the last episode I listened to?
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the last couple of times it's happened, I'm like, I'm going to take another run at that. And you leave the fudge up and that statement in there.
Sometimes I leave it on purpose because it's funny.
You're right, but this one was just me fudging it normally. Because sometimes it's a pratfall. So he returns here as the rebels grow. Blah blah blah. See, this is where you would cut this bit. So yeah, everybody, that's the episode. This was the sacrificial